It would take us 14 years to fill every vacant position. FBI Director Kash Patel just said that out loud, under oath, to Senator Chris Coons. 14 years, while requesting $500 million less in funding. While hundreds of agents have retired or been forced out, while violent crime, cyber attacks, and national security threats continue, Coons leaned forward. How does having fewer FBI agents help you combat these threats? Patel's answer exposed everything. March 13, 2026, Senate Appropriations Committee. The moment an FBI director admitted his agency is broken and blamed the training pipeline instead of his own purge. Watch Patel try to defend requesting less money while the FBI falls apart. This isn't budget testimony. This is documentation of institutional collapse. March 13, 2026, Senate Appropriations Subcommittee hearing. Nearly 5 hours had passed since the session opened. The hearing room had settled into the rhythm of late afternoon proceedings. Senators checking phones, aides shuffling papers, witnesses looking exhausted. FBI Director Kash Patel sat at the witness table, posture formal despite the length of the day. Senator Chris Coons, the Delaware Democrat, had been waiting through most of the afternoon testimony for his turn. Finally, the chairman recognized him. Director Patel, Coons began, I want to understand something about your budget testimony. He pulled out a document. In May of last year, you came before this Appropriations Subcommittee. You sat right there and defended the president's request to cut the FBI's budget by approximately $500 million. Coons paused. The day before testifying to us in the Senate, you told the House of Representatives the exact opposite. He let that contradiction sink in. So I need to know, where do we actually stand? Where are we on the budget request? Patel shifted slightly in his seat. Senator, regarding where we are in the budget cycle, we at the FBI support the president's budget, and we support eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse. We've already identified tens of millions of dollars in duplicate contracts that the FBI spent on software and private sector agreements. We've also identified duplicate workloads, and we're moving these people from doing the same thing twice to the field. Coons wrote something in his notebook. Patel added, and the relocation of FBI headquarters will also save the FBI $3.5 billion and American taxpayers. The figure hung in the air. $3.5 billion represented a significant cost reduction, assuming the headquarters relocation proceeded as planned. Coons raised his head from his notes. Are you planning any additional force reductions? No, Patel replied. How many vacant positions are you currently trying to fill within the Bureau? Patel assessed the question briefly. In terms of 1811 positions, special agents, we have a few hundred open positions that we're financing. We're filling all of these through our hybrid 1811 program and our new hiring program, and lesser amounts of intelligence analysts and staff analysts. Coons put down his pen. This was the moment. The question that would expose everything. So if hundreds of agents have retired or accepted the fork-in-the-road offer, and you have vacant positions, but you're requesting $500 million less, how does having fewer FBI agents help you combat violent crime, cyber attacks, and national security threats? The question laid out the math clearly. More vacant positions, reduced budget, ongoing threats. The numbers didn't add up. Patel answered without hesitation. To put it in perspective, Senator, Coons raised his hand. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you. Patel continued. If we had that $500 million, we did the math, it would take us 14 years to fill every vacant position currently on the FBI's books. 14 years. The timeline extended far beyond any administration or budget cycle. Because we can't hire these people and train them overnight, Patel explained. This is a process that takes many years. So right now we're focused on hiring the best and filling positions according to our needs in the best way. And even if we had that extra money, we couldn't hire them overnight. He continued, We're looking at where the need is greatest, where we need to send them in the country, and how we can modify training requirements. That's why I'm excited about having police officers who don't have college degrees, but have street smarts and police intelligence and can become FBI agents. This is what we want. The explanation focused on pipeline capacity rather than raw funding. In Patel's narrative, training infrastructure, not budget allocation, constituted the bottleneck. But Coons wasn't accepting it. Director Patel, let me make sure I understand your testimony. You're saying that even if Congress gave you the $500 million you're requesting be cut, you couldn't use it to fill vacant positions because of training capacity limitations? That's correct, Senator. Coons leaned forward. But Director, hundreds of those vacant positions exist because you forced experienced agents out. Agents who were already trained. Agents with decades of expertise. You gave them a fork in the road, resign or be fired, correct? Patel's jaw tightened slightly. Senator, personnel decisions are based on performance standards and… I'm not asking about your justification, Coons interrupted. I'm asking about the math. You forced out trained, experienced agents. Now you have vacant positions you say will take 14 years to fill. How is that making the FBI more effective? Patel didn't answer directly. We're reallocating resources more efficiently, moving personnel from headquarters to field offices. Moving which personnel? Coons asked. The ones you haven't fired yet? A murmur went through the room. This wasn't standard appropriations questioning anymore. This was an interrogation. Coons continued. Let me ask you about something else from your May testimony. You told this committee you were in favor of reauthorizing FISA Section 702 when it expires next year. You said you had implemented reforms, better training for agents, real consequences for improper searches of Americans' communications. You also said you had ideas about how to make Section 702 better going forward. He pulled out another document. But here's what troubles me, Director. While you were expressing support for these reforms in May, you were simultaneously closing the Office of Internal Audit at the FBI, the office created during the first Trump administration specifically to improve the Bureau's compliance with Section 702. Coons looked up from the document. How can you defend strong civil liberty protections while closing the office created to enforce those safeguards? Patel leaned forward slightly. Absolutely, Senator. This is a great example of duplicate work. There were two divisions at the FBI working on this, and all we did was give the inspection division, which leads the query system and audit system, sole authority to execute these functions. He explained the organizational change. So the elimination of the Office of Internal Audit was just taking the people working there who are experts and consolidating them under the inspection division, then taking the other people we didn't need because we had sufficient manpower and pushing them to other parts of the FBI. Coons wasn't convinced. So you consolidated oversight by eliminating an independent office and folding it into a division you directly control? The inspection division maintains independence, but it reports to you, Coons said. The Office of Internal Audit had separation. Now it doesn't. He moved to another point. You also told me in May that you would send me updated statistics about Section 702 searches of American data. I didn't receive them. When will I receive them? Patel replied immediately. I will work with my team to get that to you, Senator. That's what you said in May, Coons noted. It's now March, 9 months later. The timeline spoke for itself. Coons shifted topics. I'm concerned about the increase in threats against our judiciary members. What are you doing with the U.S. Marshal Service to help protect our federal judges? Patel's response was practiced. I share your concern, Senator. We have 35 open investigations, 17 against federal judges, and the rest against state court judges, regarding threats they've received. As you know, there's a specific statute that prohibits this federally. We're preparing these cases and referring them for prosecution where we can meet the evidence threshold. The figures showed active investigative work, but Coons connected it back to his central point. 35 open investigations, threats to judges, cyber attacks increasing, violent crime ongoing, national security threats from multiple adversaries, and you're requesting a $500 million budget cut while saying it would take 14 years to fill the positions you've created by forcing people out. He paused. Director Patel, I don't see how that math works. I don't see how the American people are safer with fewer trained FBI agents, less funding, and an agency that's been gutted of institutional expertise. Patel tried to respond. Senator, we've eliminated waste. You've eliminated people, Coons said quietly. Experienced people. People who knew what they were doing. And now you're telling us it'll take 14 years to replace them, if you even try. The room was silent. Coons looked at his notes one more time, then back at Patel. You told me in your confirmation hearing that you wouldn't target FBI agents based on their case assignments, that agents who worked on January 6 investigations or Trump-related cases wouldn't face retaliation. Do you stand by that testimony? Patel's response was careful. Your case assignment, as I was given case assignments when I was a young prosecutor, does not dictate your career or your termination. That's not what I asked, Coons said. I asked if you stand by your testimony that agents won't be targeted for their case assignments. I stand by that testimony. Coons pulled out another document. Then why have multiple former FBI officials filed lawsuits alleging exactly that? Why did former acting director Brian Driscoll, Medal of Valor winner, 20 years of service, get terminated after you took office? That matter is in ongoing litigation, Senator. I can't comment. Can you say definitively, under oath, that rank-and-file agents who were assigned to work January 6 cases will not be terminated because that's what they were assigned to do? Patel repeated his earlier answer, almost word for word. Your case assignment does not dictate your career or your termination. You didn't answer my question, Coons said. I asked for a definitive statement that those agents won't be targeted. You're giving me a non-answer that leaves the door open. He gathered his papers. Director Patel, I came into this hearing hoping to understand how the FBI plans to protect Americans with reduced resources. What I've learned is that you've created a crisis, forcing out experienced agents, leaving hundreds of positions vacant, requesting less funding, and admitting it would take 14 years to recover even if you tried. Coons looked directly at Patel. That's not efficiency, that's institutional sabotage, and the American people deserve better. He yielded his remaining time. The chairman called the next senator. The hearing continued with other lines of questioning, but the damage was done. Within hours, the 14 years clip went viral. 14 years trending. News analysts breaking down the math. How does an FBI director justify requesting less money while admitting his agency is broken? The answer, it seemed, was that he couldn't. He just did it anyway. And somewhere in America, 35 federal judges facing threats, countless cyber attack victims, and families affected by violent crime were all less safe because the FBI had been gutted, not by external enemies, but by its own director. 14 years. That's how long Kash Patel admitted it would take to fix what he broke, if anyone even tries. Sonnet 4.5